Now, jurors in the theater shooting trial, they're now one step closer to deciding if the gunman will be sentenced to death or spend the rest of his life in prison.
Jurors returning to the courtroom this afternoon, telling the judge there are enough aggravating factors in the case to continue death penalty proceedings. 7 News investigator John Ferrugia tracking today's developments. John, the biggest surprise in this decision, simply how long it took.
Yeah, Eric, the jury took much longer than most legal observers expected. They began considering what are called the aggravating factors in those murders yesterday. They didn't announce their decision until about 1 o'clock this afternoon. As the defendant and his legal team stood, the judge read what the killer surely expected from the jury.
We, the jury, do unanimously find that the prosecution has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of at least one of the alleged aggravating factors with respect to this count of murder in the first degree.
In fact, each of the 12 murders, the jury found 4 aggravating factors that qualify the killer for death: that he committed the crime in a heinous, cruel, or depraved manner; he created grave risk to another person in addition to the person he murdered; that he ambushed his victims; and that he killed 2 or more persons and showed extreme indifference. But the jury did not find for one aggravating factor, that the killer specifically targeted and intended to kill a child under 12. That would be Veronica Mosier-Sullivan. Prosecutors had argued that since she was shot 4 times, that was enough to warrant a judgment that he intentionally targeted her. But the jury disagreed.
The bracket next to aggravating factor number 2 is left blank. That aggravating factor alleged as follows: that the defendant intentionally killed a child who had not yet attained 12 years of age.
Now, the death penalty phase has now moved to part 2, where the defense presents witnesses who speak to what are called mitigating factors. That is, in this case, the killer's mental illness and troubled life. Several former teachers and a family friend testified this afternoon. It is unclear whether his parents will take the stand. I'm 7 News investigator John Ferrugia.
Thanks for the update, John. All 12 jurors and 7 alternates will continue to be in court as Phase 2 gets underway, and you can watch what happens in court live on the 7 News app.